Welcome in, everybody, to week 11 of the Ragsdale Rumble. I am your host, Big Mike, and I am joined, as always, by the talent in first place, and he's not letting it go to his head. As you see the number one under his Herb the Magnificent title. We welcome in Herb. How are you doing today, Herb?
I'm doing magnificently splendid.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you. You guys are
wow.
Okay.
I decided I had some time in my busy schedule to come out here and work with you peasants. So,
Oh,
wonderful night.
Wow.
So that's what happens when we let Herb go first.
Straight from the word of the mouth of the t-shirt.
Well, and just so everyone knows, the peasants remark wasn't for Mike.
Well, I appreciate that. With that being
people.
said, we will introduce your competitor and brother. We should point out, Raj, how are you doing today, man?
Hello, Roger.
Well, I want to say I was doing fantastically splendid, but somebody not named Mike chose to take a spin off that term. So I'm doing good. Actually, let's just get into this because I really want to tie up the score. Well,
Roger, I believe you're doing.
What's the score? What's the score?
So right now, Herb is up 1. Herb is at 61-45. You're at 60-46.
Okay.
So, and then the last 2 weeks we have had ties.
Okay.
There were, even number of games that were picked against each other. Obviously, they went both ways. No change in the past 2 weeks, so we will see if we have some change. We're going to do the lineup a little differently. We've been doing it by kick times. We're going to do a little differently and go by conferences. The later you get in the season, obviously conference affiliation means a lot in conference championships, things like that. So we're going to stick to specific conferences and go through each one. Starting with the ACC, we will jump in. Georgia Tech travels to South Carolina, go to Clemson. Both teams are surprisingly 5-4. It's kind of a bowl of futility. Georgia Tech's had some pretty big wins against Miami. Clemson has had some disappointing losses this season. Obviously not where they want to be. Just asked Tyler from Spartanburg, apparently. The line is currently Clemson by 14. Sorry, Rod, you're up first. Who do you have in line?
No, you knew I was going first because I'm losing. Don't try to pad it for me, make it easy for me.
He was gonna call you loser, and he was trying to remember your name. So
anyway,
so full disclosure, I've got a list here, and I have your initials in front of each game, but for some reason I've got an H in front of this game because I changed the way we were going to do it to do the conferences, and I forgot to change that to an R, so that's my confusion. But Raj, you are going first. Who do you have and why?
I'm going to go with Clemson. I think they're riding high off I know the past 2 weeks, Dabo kind of had an interesting radio call and took a call and expressed his views on the program and kind of had a nice rebuttal against one of the callers. And maybe that kind of gave them some fuel to the fire as far as their win over Notre Dame. I think Clemson's got a little bit of a change, a little kick in the program there, kick in the butt, so to speak. So I think Clemson, I'm riding with Clemson this week. They're at home against Georgia Tech. Obviously, the next week they have UNC. That might be a different story, but I think I'm going to take Clemson tomorrow.
Right, Clemson big. We were both, I think, on Notre Dame last week and just kind of surprised at how Clemson bounced back there. This win also gets them bowl eligible, which I think they'll still end up winning at least one more game. But no, I think Clemson rolls big at home here. Maybe they've turned a corner, and next year they're going to win the national championship.
Okay.
I don't know if that's way too early prediction from her, but I don't. Good luck with that. So both guys going with Clemson there, not too surprising. As we talked about, we are going to stay in the ACC. Sorry, had something in my throat there. We're going to the good old battle of Tobacco Road, as they call it. A heated rivalry in basketball, at least. It's actually a pretty good game in football this year as well. Duke goes into North Carolina, or stays in North Carolina, over to the Tar Heels of North Carolina. Duke is 6-3. Carolina is 7-2. North Carolina is currently favored at home by 13. And Herb, you're up first on this one. Who do you have?
At the beginning of this year, especially after the Duke upset of Clemson, this looked like it was going to be a great game. Then UNC started dropping games they shouldn't drop, and Riley Leonard's hurt for Duke. And now it's just kind of like, I don't even know what – I guess UNC, no chance. They're not going to make the ACC championship game, but it's still got to be plenty motivated to get into a big bowl here. Without Leonard, I think for Duke, I got to take UNC at home big. I might take them even with him, but I don't think he's playing. So I think I'm taking UNC big at home.
All right, Raj.
Same here. I got UNC at home. I think Drake May is going to continue to build on his somewhat of a Heisman campaign. I'm not exactly sure where he is, where he's falling in the top 5, top 6, or wherever he is.
He's in North Carolina, Raj.
He's actually.
You said you weren't sure where he is. He's in North Carolina.
I meant regarding the Heisman standing. I don't know why I don't respond to you sometimes. Yeah, I got UNC at home in this game.
All right, everybody going with UNC. That does complete our ACC because all the other games are trash. Moving on.
I was over there
moving
looking
on
at NC State and Wake, and I was like, I don't know what to say
No,
about
we
this game.
No, trust me, those were the only 2 games I even looked at. One, just because Georgia Tech and Clemson have been tumultuous. Big word.
Oh wow.
And then, of course, you got to go with the Duke UNC rivalry, even though it's not basketball. But moving out of the ACC, since we don't care about anything else there, we're going to go to the Big 12. Starting off early in the Big 12, Texas Tech takes on Kansas. Kind of a discrepancy. Texas Tech at 4-5, Kansas at 7-2. Although Kansas is only favored by 4 points.
Yeah.
So ESPN has them by 4. Rod, you up first. Who do you have?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why Kansas is only favored by 4. I thought they'd be
scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. I'm not sure if this is one of those weird trap games or something, but I'm gonna roll with Kansas in this one. I like their offense a little better, even without looking at the numbers. I'm gonna go with Kansas in this game.
Yeah,
right,
it's like I feel like I'm missing something,
right? Like,
and I should look more at this because this just seems like an easy Kansas victory to me. So I'm gonna pick Kansas, but like. I feel like I could be terribly wrong. Like if Texas Tech going to blow them out by 20 or something, like something's going on here. Somebody knows something.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Kansas at home.
Is Jalen Daniels back? Is he playing? Maybe that.
I don't know.
I don't know that I haven't heard a report or anything. I know he was out for a little bit. Maybe that's it. But it is, just kind of a weird thing with Kansas having such a better record, having such a better year, being so close. So we obviously had to talk about that one. Moving on to a little bit bigger game, a little bit more national implications. Texas travels into TCU. Again, it's 9-1 against 4-5. Kansas, the line has moved some. I did hear that Quinn Ewers is playing. So just full disclosure there, so everybody knows that actually moved the line. It started out at -10. Once they made that announcement, it jumped a quick 2 points to 12 in favor of Kansas. Texas. Herb, who do you have and why?
When was the last time somebody made the national championship game and then didn't even make a bowl the next year? And that's like what TCU is facing here.
2018.
It's been a few years when Michigan State came in and played Alabama and then got killed, and then the next year they went like 3-9.
But I'm saying like the national championship game, not even just
national
the playoffs.
Okay.
The national championship to me, that's even worse. But that is a good nugget though for the playoff.
Yeah, just answer the question.
Wow.
Are you tired of playing, Roger? Are you tired of being second banana?
Yes.
Yes. I'm taking Texas in this game. I think I would with or without Quentin. But if he's back in the game, I think I'll definitely take them. So Quentin Ewers.
Yeah, I think even with or without Quinn, I was going to go with Malik Murphy if he was starting. Apparently, that was Malik Monk's cousin or something like that.
Yes.
I was going to ride with Texas anyway. TCU is just not the same as
that was a total Herb
year.
joke, by the way. Total Herb joke.
Horrible Herb joke. TCU is just not the same as they were last year. Not sure what's going on there. It's going to take some time to build back and get back to where they were. Anyway, I am going to ride with Texas. Although I wouldn't mind seeing an upset, so Texas can have another loss.
That's what I hate picking TCU because I'm sitting here. I mean, I hate picking Texas. I'm like, go TCU, go TCU.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind too that TCU. I think Roger and I talked about this before we recorded Bama versus the World. The TCU is actually like 7-2 in the last 9 against Texas. So TCU's really owned this lately. Obviously, those are different Texas teams, but you never know. It's a decent rivalry. Who knows when they'll play again with everybody moving conferences around and everything like that. So kind of a maybe a bedlam effect, kind of what we had with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State last week. We shall see.
Yep.
All right,
and
moving
then
on.
We'll create a log jam in the Big 12.
There we go.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
There it is again. But we're going to stay in said long jam and in the Big 12 to the other powerhouse. West Virginia travels into Norman to play Oklahoma. West Virginia is at 6-3. Oklahoma is at 7-2. The line currently sits at 11.5 point favorite for Oklahoma. Raj, who do you have and why?
I'm looking at the schedule. Is OU no longer ranked?
It says 17th on CBS.
Oh, okay. Here, I finally found him. Sorry about that. So
that's what the big 1 and the 7 next to it. That's what that means.
Well, I mean,
OU's
everybody knows
favored by
CBS is SEC biased anyway, so they probably just don't put it on there.
OU's favored by 11.5. I'm going to go with OU at home. West Virginia still has a nice little record, 6-3. They're already bowl eligible. I think OU's going to bounce back from the Bedlam loss though and cover in this game.
Raj, the way it goes is last week Oklahoma took a loss, but now they bounce back. Bounce back. Yeah, I think they take this one big. Like I see a 20-point victory here.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. So that is 5 games in, and everybody's in agreement, even though we had some trash talking. Everybody loving each other's picks. So we will get out of the Big 12 there, see if we can create some confusion and some chaos in the Pac-12, which there's always a lot of there. Starting out with 7-2 Utah, traveling into undefeated Washington. Look, it's a big game. Utah is really good at home. I know it's a road game. The line is only 8.5 Washington, so they are favored at home. Herb, you're up first. Who do you think will win this one?
I mean, there's a couple points in there. No Cam Rising, whoever came back. Utah, even with him last year, was just not that great on the road. I think Washington wins this one, and I think they wins it big. I don't think the Utah's fixed all their offensive. Their offense is still what, putrid, or is it trash, or is it horrific? But I think Washington takes this one.
All right, Herb goes with Washington.
I got to agree with Herb. I think Penix is going to create a huge logjam for that Utah secondary.
That's not even – come on.
You heard it here first. Penix is going to throw for 400 yards tomorrow.
We use these words like an avalanche. Where it's the first one comes, it just rolls and rolls, and then just overwhelms you. It really does. But keeping on track, both Herb and Raj go with Washington.
Yeah.
So no more chaos there. We will stay in the Pac-12. Again, not a great game, but we got to pick somebody. USC travels to Oregon. Obviously Caleb Williams, very emotional after last week's game. We'll see if he can get his team together. Maybe with a new defensive coordinator, maybe USC will have some semblance of a defense. Maybe Alex Grinch was the problem. We'll find out. But they travel into 8-1 Oregon. The line has actually moved up here. It was 14.5 to start the week. It's actually moved to 16. I guess with the announcement of Alex Grinch, I don't know how that could make it any worse.
Right.
Losing the worst defensive coordinator maybe in the history of college football. But they are favored by 16 points. Herb, you're up first. I'm sorry, Rod, you're up first. Who do you have one?
Well, looks like Alex Grinch, also known as the Grinch that stole USC.
How long have you been waiting to use that one? How long have you been waiting to use that one?
It's had to have been less than a week because honestly, could any of us have named Alex Grinch as their defense coordinator last week before he got fired?
Listen, I still think Oregon is the best team in the Pac-12. Although Washington beat them by a field goal earlier on the season, I still think Oregon's the best team in the Pac-12 on both sides of the ball. I got Oregon covering in this game. We all know USC has a good offense. They haven't had a good defense since Lincoln Riley's been there. Still suspect. I got Oregon.
Yeah, I think that's it. This will be a fun game to watch for sure. Keep you up a lot of points. But in the end, Oregon will get one more stop than USC will get in this game. Yeah, and they're going to take it at home.
Yeah.
So oddly enough, Oregon defense is number 11 in scoring defense in the nation. So not necessarily the track meet that you may think. Maybe a defensive struggle on Oregon's side, keeping them down a little bit. But I do agree. I think Oregon takes that one. Moving on now to the next game. Looks like we are moving into the SEC. We'll start out with probably the bigger game. One of the bigger games in the SEC. 8-1 Ole Miss travels to 9-0 Georgia. The line has actually moved in Ole Miss's favor. Started out the week at 11.5. It has now moved to 10.5. Not a huge move, but anytime you move a whole point, it's got to say something. It's still a big one. Herb, who you're up first? Who do you think takes this one?
So I understand the line movement because this is one of those games. If I was taken, I would take Ole Miss with the points for sure, just because of the way Georgia's played and with that potent offense. And I'll even say this: I've been listening to a podcast on Ole Miss guy. He has every day this week has given us the reasons why Ole Miss can win, and has predicted their win. What did he say? 34-31, I think was his pick. Ole Miss win. Okay. I just don't think it's happening. I mean, Georgia's still a more complete team than Ole Miss. They just don't seem to win games like this. It's kind of like it's almost like they got their one with LSU earlier this year, and this just seems like the game that they're going to drop. Georgia just better. I think in the fourth quarter, Georgia will make the plays to pull Lewis out. Lane's going to go for some fourth down that he shouldn't, give Georgia a short field. Like, it just feels like there's a mistake being made. And if you had Lane on one side and Kirby on the other, like, you're going with Kirby. So I'm taking Georgia.
I couldn't have stated it any better. And Herb kind of pointed to one of the things that I was gonna. I guess he saw my notes. He's pointed to something that I was going to call out, which is Lane taking the chances. We all know how Lane is. This is one of the games. I know he really, really wants to win, but sometimes his needs, I guess. I don't know if it's his needs or his wants, but whatever the case may be, he just acts like a little kid sometimes with the play calling, and it's 4th and 1 on your own 30. He's the type of guy who's going to go for it regardless and not thinking about the outcome. Georgia's more disciplined on both sides of the ball. It could be interesting. I think this game's going to have an interesting first half, but I think Georgia pulls away in the second half, and Georgia wins.
All right, there we go. Staying in the SEC for one more game. It is the CBS 2:30 game, which normally is the biggest game in the country for the SEC. Tennessee travels in at 7-2 to Missouri, who is also 7-2. Tennessee actually favored on the road 2.5 against Missouri here. Roger, up first on this one. Who do you have in mind?
Gotta admit, prior to this week or even around beginning of the season, I did not think we would be watching 2 7-2 teams, 13-14, Tennessee and Missouri. I thought Tennessee would be ranked a lot higher than them, and I didn't know if Missouri would be ranked, but Missouri's having a good season. They're at home. That Tennessee offense is pretty good. Tennessee is favored by 2.5. Missouri's at home. Missouri played Georgia pretty well last week. I'm going to go with Missouri at home in this one. I think Missouri's going to pull it. What?
That's who I want. That's who I want to pick, but we have like no disagreement so far. But like, who wants to use an anti pick on Tennessee? Like, there's 2 teams that I'm not using anti picks to go with, and that's Tennessee and Auburn.
Okay.
So it's like, your reason is good. I like the fact that Mizzou is at home. Is this our last game that we're picking?
No, we got one more.
Be a man.
If you don't know which one, the next one is, you're not paying attention to college football.
I'm gonna go with Tennessee on the road.
Wow.
All right.
Here we go.
So,
especially with Georgia on deck, this means a little bit more to them. They still have their shot at the King.
Looks like it's going to be a tie for first place. Thank you, Herb.
I'm going to be against this pick the whole time. Like, it's crazy.
And I know you didn't want to call an anti-Raj pick, but you can't really say why you picked it. So that's really got to be the only reason you picked it. It's because he picked the other team. So I guess
we didn't have to hear that putrid.
We'll find it. We're going to go back. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
There we go. That's what we all pay to see.
We do not. Nobody pays to see that.
Anti-Raj pick. Yeah, I mean everybody.
That's what brings all the ladies to the show, or I guess the milkshake to the yard, whatever it is. It's the whole reason we have at least one female watcher every week. But we do have our first disagreement in the next to last game. Moving on to, like, it's the biggest game in the country. I think game day is going to be there. All the headlines have been about this game, especially with everything going on with the coach. It was announced today. Obviously, you guys know this because you guys have a sports show, so you guys keep up with it. Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh is suspended for the rest of the regular season.
Yep.
And I don't know. I checked the line after that. I don't know if it moved because of that, but it went from Michigan being favored 5.5 to Michigan only favored by 4 on ESPN.
The most hilarious suspension ever, by the way, because he can still go to practices. He just can't go
to what's the whole point? You can do everything but be there Saturday.
Well, but so, and I thought about this earlier when I heard it. Could you imagine the narrative of if Michigan wins the national championship, God forbid, how the head coach has been suspended for half the season? Because he was suspended the first 3 games. Now he's suspended these 3 games. That's literally half of your regular season.
Yeah.
And if they still go and win the national championship, what are we doing?
We would never hear the end of that.
Yep.
Exactly.
Also, just tells you how terrible their schedule has been this year.
Yeah.
The fact that he's just like, let me just skip out on most of the stuff. So.
Well, and this is definitely the hardest game they've had by far. Yeah. Not even close. And of course, we're talking about 9-0 Michigan traveling into 8-1 Penn State. As I mentioned, Michigan is favored by 4. Herb, after the last pick, you're up first. Who do you think?
It's almost more of an anti-Penn State pick than it is a Michigan pick. I just don't believe in Penn State in these games. You saw against Ohio State. The defense will be there, but I think Michigan will wear them down over time, and they'll do just enough to score. I believe way more in Michigan scoring than I do in Penn State getting anything out of this game. So I think a lower scoring game, I could see something like a, 24-13 kind of game.
Yeah.
But I think Michigan pulls this one out in the end for sure. I think Penn State will come out with a lot of emotion. It'll definitely close. Are you about to dance?
I'm about to dance.
Oh,
I'm
Lord,
about
he had
to
the
dance.
dancing smile. Wait, Rod, can you hold on one second? Rod, can you hold on one second? Rod, hold on one second.
Here's some tearing.
What is he doing?
It looks like he's cleaning it. Maybe he wants to see it very clearly. He's trying to clean his glasses. Maybe he wants to
What
get
in
the full
world?
effect
He
of
never cleans his glasses. They're always
the
foggy.
anti-Raj. Of course, we're
Look at the angle of his glass cleaning too. That was
all right.
rough.
So hold on. Are you ready, Herb?
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So Herb has picked Michigan. Who do you think will win this game?
Hold on. First of all, let me do my thing. Anti-Herb pick. I'm going with Penn State by a field goal. I don't know. I don't care how many points they win, but I am going to go with Penn State in this game. I think something happens at home. I don't think it has anything to do with Harbaugh not being there regardless. Herb made a good point. He's going to be there all week, so they know what's going on, and the assistant coaches will take care of that.
Yeah. And he'll be on the phone with somebody.
But I think something's going to happen, and I wouldn't mind seeing Michigan lose a game because they actually play a decent opponent. So I'm going to go with Penn State in this game.
But again, on the opposite side of the narrative we kind of talked about, could you imagine them losing the first game after the first real game after this whole sign stealing scandal? What the narrative would be. Well, I guess you can't win if you can't steal sign. I mean, it's
Oh my god.
To be a Michigan fan, you're really in a no-win situation as a Michigan fan now. But we do have our second again for the third week in a row. We have an even number of games. Michigan and Penn State. Herb has Michigan. Raj has Penn State, and then the Tennessee and Missouri game. Herb has Tennessee. Raj has Missouri.
Yep.
One's an 11 o'clock game. One's a 2:30 game. So after about 4 o'clock, you can go not worry about watching any more college football. It's fine. This is the only thing that matters. Who even plays after that? I don't know.
Right.
Alabama plays at 11, so we don't really care about anything after that anyway. But hopefully the biggest thing is everybody has a great Saturday. Enjoy some football, chill out, have some fun, and enjoy it. And as always, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.